Hello folks, welcome to the Poly Champions YouTube. Polytopia has a new beta that made some changes to the most recent Path of the Ocean update. Let's go through the beta changes. Hello, I'm eSpark. I'm a leader of the Arctic Wolves and a junior on the Huskies. And with me today is I Know Funny.
Team leader and pro player on the Kraken team. Kraken's on top forever. What can I say?
No, you're not allowed to do any propaganda. So we're going to talk about the latest beta changes. These were just released February 26, 2024. So what do you think about these proposed beta changes? Oh, now we just need to say these beta changes are not set in stone. We don't know if these are actually going to make it into the game. There is a good chance Mijiwan will change some or all or none. We don't know, but we'll just let you know what we think about how they stand now.
Yeah, we just have to, make sure to tell everyone that what changes happens will depend on community feedback. So it's important to go on every social media channel you can access Mijuan and harass him uh,
Absolutely.
until you get what you want.
Because it's really important to play test this and let the developers know what your opinions are. So, what are your opinions? I know.
I am loving the changes that I'm seeing here. Not really going to get into theory crafting what else could have been, just going to compare the current version of the game to this beta version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of the changes are a little healthier for the game.
So, what do you think's the biggest impact? The number one, biggest change that you're seeing in this beta?
Biggest definitely is the Lighthouse changes. Maybe the massive map players are a little confused here. But yeah, definitely on smaller maps, the lighthouses were a menace, especially when you could start with one in your starting vision, like just completely huge blowout advantage. Uh,
Yeah,
and
because
that-
it used to be if you were like a T0 tribe and you started with a lighthouse, you could get a workshop and a second warrior on the very first turn.
oh, absolutely. It turned Cymanti into a turn zero tribe, especially on these tiny maps, where it's already so explosive, so dependent on everything you're doing in the opening of the game. Just absolutely game winning sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just who got that lighthouse.
So now, in this beta, lighthouses will start covered in a fog, even if it's in your capital borders. It's going to be covered in fog. You have to move a unit to uncover the fog.
Makes you work for it.
I mean, players still get the advantage of the lighthouse, but not on that very first turn.
Yeah, except for Cymanti's kind of an interesting case. Just moving their shaman backwards where they might want to move it anyways to get that vision, if it would have been there turn zero anyways.
Mm-hmm. All right, what else is next? What do you think about the tech tree changed where fishing is back in a first tier tech? So you can get ports and fishing just with that first tech purchase, right? What do you think?
It absolutely makes getting into the water per choice. If you're ever debating between am I going to fight them on land or water when both are viable, water is definitely nicer just because it helps you out with your economy so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think having access to the fishing allows your coastal cities to grow earlier. It really gives you that economic boost. Mm-hmm.
It's also super helpful just to have all those options in such an easy to afford tech.
Mm-hmm.
Like leveling up your cities, you don't really have to wait for buying sailing to get a port and a port connection like you may
Mm-hmm.
have in earlier versions. You have all the tools for upgrading your cities right away. It just makes it a lot easier, makes it faster, more powerful. A lot of players were complaining about the slow pace of the games.
Mm-hmm.
This definitely alleviates that.
Got it. Speeds it up. That makes sense. The other big change, I think, as speaking of naval, is that the bombers are less powerful now. The attack value is what, 3 instead of 4? Yeah.
Yeah, I think making bombers less powerful is definitely a step in the right direction. However, I don't really think, such a straightforward nerf is really the best way about going about the situation. It wasn't so much that bombers did too much damage as that there isn't really counterplay to them. You can't have defensive tanky units in this version, not
Mm-hmm.
like rammers, which don't deal any return damage and get zone of controlled and can't really reach your opponent's bombers. It doesn't matter how much damage it does per se, as like the difference between 3 and 4, anyways. As long as it's doing splash damage,
Mm-hmm.
just brings them a huge advantage. That's often way too decisive.
So bombers are still really powerful, but do you think that generally reducing their attack value is a step in the right direction?
Oh, absolutely.
What else do you think is important from this
Oh, the
beta?
starfish.
Starfish? Tell me about the starfish. They're 8 stars now instead of 10.
Well, the most important thing is that this also indirectly affects bombers. Now, a lot of people would go fishing, sailing, or I guess sailing, fishing in the old version,
Mm-hmm.
or the current version.
Mm-hmm.
This is beta. Um, but they would go by sailing, then they would buy fishing, and they would expand across the map, spend all of their stars on these ships, get vision with those, maybe take a lot of explorers, find the starfish, and they would
Mm-hmm.
recoup those losses
Yeah.
just with an abundance of starfish
Yeah.
and pick up, like it would help them pick up navigation, get set up with these bombers, which are very problematic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think definitely reducing them makes that play style a lot
Yes.
harder. It also stops starfish from like the difference between like, oh, your site had closer access to 4 starfish, mine only had 2,
Mm-hmm.
less likely to impact a game. They're still nice. They're still a cool thing to grab. Another thing that players can fight over in the water, but they're less annoying now, certainly.
Yeah. I guess the last thing about bombers, what do you think about not getting bombers from ruins anymore? You get a veteran rammer.
I think it's thematically appropriate concerning the veteran swordsman ruins that you get
Mm-hmm.
on land. This feels like it's always going to be something beneficial and
Mm-hmm.
never too overpowering. Like it's something you're going to fight your opponent over for. Oh, I really don't want them to get this. Like a reason that it's worth fighting over a ruin, but not something that it can win or lose the game.
Mm-hmm. I agree. To me, the main thing is getting a veteran rammer from water ruins feels very similar to getting a veteran swordsman on a land.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I like a lot about this beta is the change to markets. Now you get 1 star for every nearby building, so like a forge, a sawmill, or windmill. And if you have I'm going to say, if you have a level 8 sawmill, you get 8 stars back from your market. And so you can really just invest in one tech tree and reap the benefits from markets. Whereas before, you had to get lots of different tech plus the ports. So now they've removed the doubling from ports, and it's just 1 star for every level of those production buildings that's adjacent. What do you think?
I think that makes it actually viable to pick them up if you're going to be, picking up roads anyways in a game. Some level of 3 tech along with it. Maybe buying trade will actually pay off.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I ever used markets a single time before this beta, but I might start.
I also think this will help Hoodrick and Barter. I think it's really easiest to get these higher level buildings with sawmills. So I think Hoodrick and Barter might get a buff from this market change.
Yeah, I think it's also appropriate after the nerfs to roads and forestry that y- this is helping those out by trade being at the end of the roads tech branch.
Mm-hmm. Although there's a change to construction, so we can talk about that next. We might see a lot more windmills because now Burn Forest is in the org tech branch and Destroy is in the chivalry tech. So I think we might see Zabasi having a lot more farms, and then we might see more windmills, which maybe will be used in markets. I don't know.
It's always been like playing Zabasi, getting those forests has always been kind of a death sentence. And just, oh, this is really in the way. Sometimes, even though the resource rates for Zabasi are absolutely atrocious, you would see players teching into hunting and forestry.
Yes. I think it makes sense too to put just like, I don't know, from a lore perspective, to put the whole I'm going to clear forest to make a farmland in the org branch. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's a lot of streamlining going on in the tech tree right now.
Though speaking of farms, there's no more aqua farms. I'm actually I don't like that. I'm actually sad. I like the aqua crops and the aqua farms.
I liked them, if only because it gave you a reason to get into aquaculture, pick up rammers while upgrading your cities. This indirectly nerfs rammers, and therefore is probably the worst decision Mijuan has made in his long career.
Whoa. Wow, that's a big statement. You think it's really that significant to get rid of the aqua crops because it's less incentive to get the rammers?
Well, it's not that it hurts rammers all too much, and especially with bombers being less good. I don't know, maybe you see some more love for rammers, less people trying to tech into Starfish and stuff. But any attempt to make rammers even slightly worse is infinitely worse than anything else.
Mm.
Rammers are the most important unit in the game, by
Mm.
far.
Mm. That's
I
a strong
receive
statement.
a monthly check from the several Rammer institutes promoting the betterment of and use of rammers in Polytopia. Any attack on rammers is a direct financial attack on me personally.
Exactly. You are the rammer spokesperson and you get paid well for it. I get it. And now, a word from our sponsor.
New Rammer, Polytopia Beta Edition. Except there's nothing beta about this Rammer. It's all Sigma all the time. It comes for you, there's nothing you can do. New Rammer. It's like the old Rammer, but it's new!
Should we talk about bridges and shorelines?
I
Sure. I'm sorry.
Sure. My big takeaway from this beta is that Mijuan really likes bridges and he really wants everyone else to play with bridges.
Yeah, it just seems difficult to envision a scenario in which you're going to decide not to tech into fishing and sailing, and instead choose to go riding and roads and pick up a bridge that your opponent can use equally as well as you, but you'd have to shill out all the stars to get. Uh, it just seems like if you're going to be separated by water, Navy is the way to go, especially with all the changes like fishing back in a tier 1 tech that makes it easier and more cost effective, more economic to pick up fishing and sailing now.
Yeah, I think even with bridges costing 5 stars, really most of the time I would choose a port over a bridge. Oh, I also heard that Mijuan added the shoreline around the land tiles to show players where they can place bridges if the other side is covered in fog. I heard that the shoreline thing can be hard to spot, but if you look, you can see it. There's like a line along the shallow water. I think it can be useful for discovering land next to the shallow water tiles, like to know where it's at, but it's not going to get people to use bridges more.
Oh, absolutely. I feel bad for bridges.
Are you saying that the bridge conglomerate hasn't reached out to you to ask you to be their official spokesman yet?
Oh, they have, but like I have standards.
Don't tell Mijuan. He really wants people to play bridges, I think. The other thing that Mijuan likes that, I don't do very much is single player games like Perfection. The way it currently works, you get more points the more opponents you play, but now the bonus is reduced for how many opponents you play in Perfection. And then temples grow quicker, so you get more points faster for temples. But really, these are only in single player mode.
I'm not going to pretend that I know a thing about Perfection. More power to these people, though. I think they'll be happy with these changes. Maybe?
And then the last thing that, again, is more about single player is the improved AI. Supposedly the bots are smarter, but, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the bots are still dumb, and they're always going to be dumb. But we want to hear from the Perfection community, the multiplayer community, even the bridge lovers community. Tell us what you think in the comments, and also join the official Discord server. There's a link in the description to give the devs your feedback.
There's only one thing you can't say, and that's, any bad talk about the rammers.
Otherwise, the rammer mafia will come after you. All right, so thanks so much for talking me through these beta changes. This is fun.
Of course, anytime, eSpark.
Finally, as promised, here's some instructions on how to join the beta. To join the beta, first go to the Battle of Polytopia on Steam. See the Steam link in the description. Next, right-click on the game in the Library tab and go to Properties. Select the beta section and input the code Polytopia Beta Testers, all one word. Success! Beta unlocked. You know it works when you go over here to the side and see it says Battle of Polytopia with beta in brackets. Then press play. That'll launch the beta version of the game for you to try. To give feedback to Midjuan and the developers on this new beta, head to the official Polytopia Discord server. A link to the official server is in the description. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps us a lot. What do you think in this new beta? I pretty much made this video overnight, so please post in the comments if I missed something. Take care. See you on the next one.